everybody, welcome to my channel. I'm so glad that you're here. Hopefully you are tuning in after having watched kind of the overview video about how to blow up on TPT in 6 months. I told you in that video I was going to take each of the steps that I outlined in that video and break them down so that they would be easier to understand and so you would have like a good place to get started from. Today we're talking all about branding. It's your very first step in starting a Teachers Pay Teachers store that's successful, and if you're having trouble getting your store off the ground, this is a great place to return to kind of after you've spent some time doing your thing. If your store is not taking off the way that you want it to, this is a great thing to take a second look at because your branding might be the culprit. Let me talk to you about how. So first of all, your business needs a name. I'm gonna tell you that if you picked your name like really quickly and it's something like Magnificent Middle School, no offense if that's your actual name, consider changing it because it's just not specific enough. Like when someone reads that, they're just not sure what your niche is, like what sets you aside from every other Magnificent Middle School resource creator. My suggestion is to take something that you are into outside of teaching and TPT and kind of bring it in to your name while also incorporating your specific niche. So my business's name is Joyful Noise Teaching. And so in that name, I'm kind of conveying, because it's an allusion to a Bible verse, that one of the things that I care about outside of teaching is my faith. So I've got that. And then also Joyful Noise is alluding to music, which is most of the products that I make are music related. My husband has a little baby TPT store that he like sometimes spends some time on, and his store is called Game Day Mathematics because he's a football coach. So he was able to kind of like pull the branding of football and that aesthetic into his niche, which is mathematics. So spend some time kind of like vision boarding this, where you're writing down things you care about, writing down your niche, and finding ways that it moves together. So it kind of pulls together a cohesive look. And speaking of branding, there's a couple of elements other than your name that you need to be aware of. First, a custom font. You want to pick a font, and then that is your baby. You're going to use other fonts, obviously, but this particular font that you're going to use is going to be consistent across all your platforms, all your marketing, so that when people see that font, they start to associate it with you. In love, maybe stay away from the Joy of Missing Out font by AG. I use it on my products all the time, but not in my branding because it's such a popular font that it's not going to help me to stick out. So I would look for a font that is going to be your thing forever and try to make it a gorgeous font, but different than the ones that you're seeing on all of the big sellers that you're seeing all the time. If you're looking for something to start with, I would say check out KA Font Designs. I literally love her stuff so much. It's modern, it's trendy, it's really high quality. I would check that out. You can buy her stuff on Etsy or on TPT, and I'll link that below so you can check it out. Next step is picking out an aesthetic. So we're gonna talk about brand colors in a second, but before you can pick brand colors, you need to have your aesthetic picked out. And maybe that comes really simply to you. For me, my aesthetic is kind of like muted pastel rainbow colors. That's consistent across my branding, and I've got about 5 or 6 of those specific colors that are constantly in rotation, and I like a lot of white space. I use a lot of pinks, a lot of whites, and then muted pastel rainbow colors along the outside of that. It's very like airy and open, and not a lot of bright colors, but just a lot of, like light and airy colors is kind of what I'm going for. I think especially in the primary space, we see a lot of really bright colors. I'm going to submit to you that I think that is on its way out, and that we need to kind of stay away from the bright colors and start moving toward more neutrals, even if you want to go for more of like a boho aesthetic. Like if you see the boho rainbows and stuff like that, that's really coming in. More earthy neutrals are really in. Just because we teach babies in some cases does not mean that we need to have our branding look that way. If it works for you, by all means. I just think in terms of enticing the customer, more airy and light branding is where people are moving toward. If you have a seller that you immediately think of as like, oh my gosh, a beautiful Instagram, a beautiful store, pull their websites and their stores and put that in kind of your vision board. I would go to Pinterest, make a TPT or small business vision board on Pinterest, and then add images, whether they're teaching related or not, that have the aesthetic that you're trying to go for, and create that kind of vision board for your business, so that later down the line when you're branding, you're like, what colors am I wanting? You can pull up that vision board and then use the eyedropper tool in PowerPoint or as a Chrome extension. If you want to know more about that, leave it in the comments and I'll shoot you a direct link to the eyedropper tool that I'm talking about, or follow me on TikTok at Emily_Karst. I talk all about Chrome extensions that you need. And one of the ones I talk about is this eyedropper tool. You can use that to grab specific colors from your Pinterest vision board and then use those to create your branded colors. What you would do with that eyedropper tool is it gives you a hex code, and you would take that hex code and drag and drop it into, like, for example, Canva's Brand Kit. Love that. And then you'd have all of your brand colors, and then you would stick to those, change them up, whatever. If all of that sounds like something you do not care about because you're like, I do not have an eye, like I do not have a design eye. First of all, it's fine. You can still be successful at having a small business and a beautiful small business without having an eye. Go to a website, I mentioned this in my last video, called Coolors.co, Coolers.co, Coolors.co, and it gives you these like beautiful color palettes, and you hit the space bar and you just like zoop, 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 go through color palettes, and you'll start to notice a theme where you're like, oh, I like this one, I like this one, I like this one. If you're noticing that you're mostly liking neutrals, then that you can start saving color palettes like that, and eventually export one as a PNG, and then that is your brand colors. You can pop it into anything you're designing from then on. And that takes me to, once you have your brand colors and your aesthetic picked out, you're gonna wanna design some graphics. First, you're gonna wanna design graphics for your TPT store. When you first open your TPT store, you can just use a picture of your face on the front of your store. Then you're gonna make store graphics. So you're gonna have an animated banner. That can be a little bit complicated to know how to do. So if you would like a step-by-step tutorial on how to make an animated banner, can you let me know in the comments below, and I'll kind of add that to the plan of videos that I'm making. Make an animated banner for your store with your brand colors and your custom font that you're using. Then make whatever other banners and headers fit on your TPT store, finish those up, and then start on your social media. So make branding for your social media that looks really consistent, same font, same colors, same aesthetic as your TPT store. And you can do that in your like Instagram logo, your highlight covers. You can do that on your business header, on your Facebook page, on your Pinterest page. You can have a banner there. Like, just go through all your social media and put all the same branding across the whole thing. That way when people see your stuff, they immediately know that it's you as much as possible. And I think as long as you keep those fonts, aesthetic, and colors the same, people are gonna start associating you with that look, which is good for business. So last thing to kind of wrap up this conversation on branding is, if you don't have a professionally made logo and you don't feel comfortable making a professional grade logo, then you should pay somebody to do it for you, because it's only like 20 bucks sometimes. There's many people that you can look at to get that done, but I also do logo work. So if you want me to make a logo for you, there is a link below in the description for a questionnaire. You can put your name in, and I will reach out to you. Sometimes it gets really full and I kind of get like too much, but right at the moment that I'm posting this video, I have space for probably 10 people that I could do logo work for. So if you're wanting to get a logo done and you want it to be specifically made for your Teachers Pay Teachers business, I will help you out. No problem. And we'll like have some back and forth conversation about building that brand and what you want it to look like. I'm happy to do that. But you can get it anywhere you want on the internet, or like I said, you can make it yourself. Canva has some great tools for that. And I think once you have that logo that you love, that you can easily just pop into whatever social media, whatever email, anything like that, it starts to make you feel more confident in the branding of your store. So that's tip number 1 in how to blow up on TPT in 6 months or less. This is the foundation upon which we're going to build. So you want to make sure your branding is strong. Of course, there's no metric that's going to be like, this person bought this resource because you have a beautiful pink watercolor in your logo. But it is my opinion that part of what helped me to take off so fast is because people liked the aesthetic of what they saw. And so that enticed them to look into the content, because the aesthetic is the hook that brings people to your content. And you might have the best content in the world, but if people aren't enticed to look at it because it's not beautifully presented by your brand, it's never going to get in front of people's eyes, so it's never going to sell. I hope that this is helpful. Part 2 will be coming out soon, and part 2 is all about social media. I recently, as a surprise to me more than anybody, kind of went viral on TikTok. So I have lots to say about social media and how it can radically transform your business. That will be next week's video. I'm excited to see you there. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. I'm here to help. Remember, absolutely anybody can do this. Have a great day.